I'm unable to predict the outcome of this mission. It's odd for me to say, we'll see together.
What up, Jippers? Plays back once again for another No Man's Sky Next video, and today we've got something a little bit special because we're getting closer and closer to the release of the No Man's Sky Next update, and it's been a very long time since I gave my actual predictions for what I think that update is going to contain. The first and only predictions video I've done was back in March, right when we first heard about No Man's Sky 1.5 before we even knew it was called Next. So today, I want to have a little bit of fun. We're going to jump on. I'm going to throw my hat in there with my predictions, my speculation, the things that I think might be coming in the No Man's Sky Next update. Now, of course, don't take this too seriously. This isn't fact. This isn't confirmed. Most of this is going to be just the things that I feel like are going to be there in the update. My hunch, I guess, my predictions. It's just that. There's no fact here. This isn't a news video. This isn't an update. This is me just having some fun saying, this is what I think we're going to see. And I think it'll be funny to kind of look back after the update drops and say, oh, you got some of this right, but you got some of this very wrong. So that's what we're going to do today. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is based on things that I've seen, heard, thought about with the element drops, Waking Titan, things that Hello Games have said, but some of it is just based on pure feeling alone and the things that I have in my heart that I think are going to be there. So yeah, pinch of salt and all of that good stuff, but hopefully, regardless of all of that, you're going to have fun with this one. So let's jump in with the obvious stuff, the stuff we kind of know quite a bit about, but not all of it, the multiplayer. So I want to talk about how I think that's actually going to work. We know we're getting multiplayer, we know we're going to have actual animated in-game player models, avatars, we know that's all going to be there, but we don't really know a lot more than that, other than we'll also have 2 to 4 player co-op, and we'll be able to play with friends or find random people while we're out there exploring. So how do I think that's actually going to work? So I do think we're still going to have the 16 player limit. That's my guess of what we're going to see in Next. I think we will be able to play in those 2 to 4 player squads, but we will also be able to see up to 3 other squads for a total of 16 players per instance. And I think the actual co-op, the heavy co-op side of things, will be a separate game mode. So I think if you actually want to squad up with people in a real party, in a real group, you're going to have to do that on a brand new mode that they'll introduce for co-op. I think the other modes will still have multiplayer. It will be like it is now, except we'll also have player models. So you'll still be able to find people, you'll still be able to travel to a planet and meet up, but instead of seeing the orbs, you'll see the player model. That's how I think it will work for the current modes. Not much of a change there, other than it will be synchronous and we'll have player models. Actual real co-op experience, I think there's going to be a lot more to it than that. And I think we're going to see real co-op activities, missions, things like the salvage missions, things like the co-op capital ship, all of that kind of stuff I think is going to be in that separate mode. So I do think we'll be able to squad up. I do think that'll be really easily accessible for new players and anyone who's already got the game. If they want to play purely for the multiplayer, I think they're going to make that really easy. So I do think drop-in co-op is what we're going to see. That would be my guess, my prediction. Could be wrong, not too worried. I'm sure whatever happens is going to be fun. But my guess would be if you one of your friends is online, you can send them an invite or they can send you a request and you can instantly join up at their location and 4 of you can start playing together and just pick up at any time and have a bit of fun exploring and doing these little co-op salvage missions, flying your co-op capital ship together and all of that kind of stuff, and engaging in PvP and battles and all of that kind of stuff with other squads or other players that you might meet in the world. I also think that for the PvP side of things, there's going to be a way for us to kind of steer clear of that. Now, I know it's a very big universe. Each galaxy that we've got currently is very large. You can never explore it in a lifetime or multiple lifetimes, even if you tried. So if you really want to avoid other people, it won't be too difficult. But I think it's going to go a step further than that. So I think if you're really serious about never getting into any sort of PvP or meeting other players and that kind of stuff, I think there'll be some mechanism to do that. Either switching off online mode like we have now, or more what I'm leaning towards, some sort of mechanism in-game that lets you identify if an area that you're going to go to has PvP enabled. Something like a system scan. So before you warp to a new system, you do a scan and it will say this is a PvP enabled zone, or it might say there are other players here, or something like that that gives you an indication that if you go this way, you could bump into someone and things could get messy. That would be my guess on how all of that stuff is going to work. Now, also for the multiplayer, I think there's going to be some changes to the way racing works at the moment. I think racing, just like the actual multiplayer, is going to be synchronous. And by that, what I mean is, if you go and race another player in your exocraft, I think you'll be able to see the other player's exocraft. I think you'll both be there in one instance, or however many of you are allowed to race, and you'll actually have your vehicles able to like touch and stuff while you go through the races. And if that does happen, if that happens, it will be very freaking cool, because we can have some quite intense, like, serious races then, like, bumping into each other, trying to, like, skid each other off the tracks and things like that, make each other miss the checkpoints. I think that would be a heck of a lot of fun, and I think if it does go that far, we're going to see a lot more people taking the racing element of the game a bit more seriously than they do now. We might even see communities and stuff spring up around purely the racing aspect of the game, and loads of people just having great fun doing that. So yeah, fingers crossed, those kind of things are going to be coming. And if they do, I'm definitely going to be getting involved with them. Now, if you watched my first ever predictions video for Next way back in March, you'll remember that I talked about 3 things, and the second one of those was an underwater vehicle, or some method for making underwater travel a bit easier than it is now. I still want that very much, and I still think that we're going to see something like that. Some sort of way of making traveling underneath the ocean easier than it is now. I know you can use the Roma on the seabed, but it's slow, tedious, and it gets stuck easily. I know you can use the Nomad, but that only lets you skim across the top. I think we're going to get something that actually lets us go underneath the water and travel around without having to worry about drowning. I hope that's coming. I won't say a submarine, I won't say exactly what, but I think there's going to be something that makes that type of underwater exploration much easier than it is now. So that's another one of my predictions that I'm going to be throwing out there. And the next one is the big one. This is still going back to my 3 original predictions from March. I do genuinely believe we are going to see a very big change, some sort of overhaul to the game that takes us much closer to that E3 trailer type of vision. I don't want to go as far as to say the game is going to look like the trailers. I don't want to put that out there. I don't want to say that I'm betting on that or I'm counting on that. But I do believe that that has always been the vision. Of course, that will have been tweaked. There will have been new ideas thrown around since then, changes to what they wanted. But I still believe that that vision that they showed us in those trailers is going to be the kind of thing they're working towards. Now, what I mean by that is a load of the assets that we saw there that never made it into the game. Things like the Diplo, things like the giant snake, things like the rhino, things like the shark. Those kind of creatures and things being in the game, properly working, fully polished, moving around, and actually included. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. I predict we're also going to see another visual update. So we had this with Atlas Rises. They tweaked, they improved, they changed the look of the game. I think we're going to see that again, and I think it's going to be even better for Next. I also think there's going to be an overhaul to things like missions and the NPC characters. I kind of hinted at that with some of the co-op stuff that I spoke about, but I do think NPCs are going to move around. I think they're going to interact with us a bit more. I think they're going to have some more interesting and dynamic dialogue. Maybe even be able to go and see an NPC on a planet or in a station or in a freighter, talk to them and actually pick up like a little tiny mini mission. Even if it's something really basic, you know, go to a freighter, do a salvage, come back to the person, collect a reward. I do think that kind of thing is going to be developed much further than it is now. I've always believed that the way NPCs are in the game now, where they're quite static, they don't do a lot, they don't move around too much, but they do have some sort of purpose, was kind of a foundation. I do think they're going to be building on that, and I am predicting that we're going to see that improved or overhauled, however you want to describe it, but some significant changes and improvements to the way all of that kind of stuff works. And yes, I know I'm throwing out some pretty big predictions here. I don't know if these are going to be right, but these are kind of what I'm feeling at the moment. These are kind of, in my heart, in my mind, what I think we might see when Next drops. I do just want to say again, some of this stuff obviously is not going to be right. I'm not going to guess every single thing about the update, and there are also going to be things that I just haven't even thought of that we're probably going to see. They like to surprise us. They really surprised us with Atlas Rises, and they're definitely going to do that again. Don't take anything I'm talking about here super seriously. Don't let my predictions turn into your expectation. These are just kind of things that I'm throwing out there. I'm saying if I was going to bet on it, this is what I'd bet. If this stuff doesn't happen, I'm not going to be too disappointed, because I'm pretty confident at this point that whatever they do bring in those updates, even with the stuff we know for sure, you know, the ringed planets, the player models, the multiplayer, the new ship types, I know I'm going to enjoy all of that stuff, and I know it's going to be even better than the game that I already have today and that I already love. So I'm not too worried if I'm right or wrong. It doesn't really matter, but I still want to throw this out there just to see if I can guess any of them or not. So now, also on the subject of an overhaul, I do think we're going to see an overhaul to the creature AI in the game. We know we're getting sound improvements, and I think personally there's going to be a sound overhaul. Loads of sounds that are in the game now improved drastically, loads of new sounds, a big improvement in that area. I think that's going to come along with loads of new creature types, and I also think the creature behavior is going to have been tweaked to some extent. So I'm definitely looking forward to that side of things too. And of course, on the subject of overhauling and improving things, I do also think we're going to see big improvements to variation across the board. New planet types, new biomes, new assets, better rocks, better terrain, better structures, better tree types, denser forests, all of that kind of stuff I predict we're going to see. I think they're going to be making significant changes that benefit the explorer. There are loads of people that play this game that aren't too worried about the multiplayer stuff, that have just wanted for a very long time more cool things to explore, and I have little doubt at this point that we're going to see at least some stuff that helps with that side of things. They gave us new planet types with the exotics and Atlas Rises. They improved the visuals to make stuff more interesting to look at, and I think we're just going to see that expanded on even more with next. And now for another big one. I think, personally, we might actually even see planetary space system physics. I'm talking about things like solar flares, the things that were alluded to in the Element 5 unlock, suns actually having a purpose, being a real thing in the game, moving, planetary rotation, better asteroids, being able to land on asteroids, better physics in space. That kind of stuff is something that I think we might actually see for the first ever time in Next. Don't take my word for it. It's just a hunch, just a feeling. I'm hoping we see that, and I am throwing that in as something that I am calling and that I do think we're going to see when the update drops. And there are 3 other things that I want to throw in here as predictions. I know I'm chucking out a lot of stuff. Some of it's quite detailed, some of it's quite vague, but I have a lot of ideas and I have a lot of opinions about what I think we might see. Why not put them out there? We're going to find out in a few days, so this will just be a funny little exercise to look back on, and we can kind of see if any of this did actually plan out the way that I am thinking it might. And the first one of those things is my big theory that I've been talking about for a long time. I think we're going to see NPC enemies in the game. Not just other players that we can fight, but actual characters, NPC characters that become an enemy that we can go up against in one-to-one combat on planetary surfaces. And I do think the Dreamers are going to be how we get there. The Waking Titan ARG stuff with these Dreamers, I think what we're doing to them, the failed extractions that are inevitably going to happen, are going to lead to some of those Dreamers being stuck in the simulation and being very angry about it. And I think that's what those player models are. They're dark, shadowy, ominous versions of our characters, and they are going to fight us on the planet surfaces when we hit Next. And the second thing is base building. I think we're going to see loads of new assets and things that we can use to build bases. I think the limit for bases is going to be drastically improved. I think complex colonies is going to hint at stuff like that. We're going to see better buildings, better assets, new building types, bigger buildings, possibly even collections or little towns and things like that when Next drops, and I think we're going to be able to build our own. I think they're going to lift the restriction of 1 player base per planet. I'm hoping they get rid of the set points for buildings and that we can just go to a planet, build stuff, multiple people, and set up our own little colonies and build our own little mini towns and cities. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking about when I think what we might see when Next drops. And lastly, just one more little thing is the minor improvements. The small things that I think at this point are fairly safe to assume are going to be there. Things they normally always try and work on. I think we're going to see tweaks, little tiny things, improvements to optimization, some new resource types, some new minerals, some more resources, little things like that that don't sound massive. They're not the big flashy things, but they can add a lot of value to the game when we actually get there and we find out we've got some new cool resource types, we've got some new rare stuff to find, and things in general just run a little bit smoother and a little bit better. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. I've thrown out quite a lot. Pinch of salt. I don't think I could have said that anymore in this video. These aren't fact. These aren't confirmed things. These aren't news. These aren't updates. These are just my speculations, my predictions for what I personally think we might see when Next drops. I'd be very surprised if all of that happened, but I also think we'll probably see some other stuff that I haven't even thought about or talked about. But I could definitely see at least a few of those things being there in the next update. So fingers crossed, any or all of that would be really cool, and I'm sure whatever happens It's going to be a blast. So don't worry too much. Buckle up, sit tight. We haven't got long to wait now, and I'm sure we're all going to be having a blast on July the 24th. So yeah, that's my predictions. I guess we'll see if it's just Emily that can predict the future or not very soon. Hopefully you enjoyed that one, guys. Let me know some of your predictions, some of the things you actually think we're going to see when next drops in the comments below. I love seeing all that stuff. There's going to be loads of things that I haven't thought of that you guys have, and it's just interesting. That's the kind of stuff that I enjoy. People know when they come here. I like to speculate. I like to get excited. I like to talk about all of the possibilities and the things that could happen and the things that I'm excited about and the things that I read into stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like doing that, and hopefully you guys enjoy listening to it too. But yeah, that's it for this one, guys. I will catch you in another video very soon, of course, and before long I'll probably see you in game when next drops. So yeah, take care, guys, and peace. Just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all of my current Patreon supporters: Shiraka Majelli, YO, Madeline J, NTB, Ovin S, Tyler D, Todd Cook, Neil B, Anarchy, Vanilla, Rasmus K, Autumn Long, Lukash, Husband Vader, Amras, Dale from the Atlas Hub, Ty the Blazer, Joanne Anderson, Heath, The Portrait Dude, Akami, Mac for a Day, Ongrad, and Dead D Reza. You guys are the best.